You know those moments in life that hit you so hard you wonder if you're dreaming? Well, mine came in a letter. A letter that told me something so crazy it felt like a joke. The HOA, those nosy neighbors who run the Harmony Glade neighborhood, next to my land, had sold 5,000 acres of my property. Yes, you heard right. My land. 5,000 acres, sold without asking me, without even telling me. If you're already shaking your head, get ready. This story gets much wilder. Their greed was only matched by how dumb they were, and they had no idea who they were messing with. It started a few years after I bought this huge piece of land called Blackwood Reach. It was beautiful, rolling hills, old forests, and a river. It sat right next to the Harmony Glades neighborhood. I bought it as an investment, maybe for a nature project later. Harmony Glades was new, all the same cookie-cutter houses with super green lawns. The first red flag was a call from Bartholomew Higgins, the HOA president. His voice was slimy and fake-friendly. He'd heard I owned Blackwood Reach and wondered if I'd give them some land for a dog park. I said no. The land was private. His voice got cold real quick. "That's a shame," he said like a threat. Community, spirit is so important. Over the next year, weird things kept happening. I'd find surveyors I didn't hire near my property. Once I found orange stakes 50 feet inside my land, marking walking trails. Every time I called the HOA, they acted clueless or talked down to me. They were just beautifying the area, Higgins would say, like trespassing was doing me a favor. The letter that changed everything came on a Tuesday. It wasn't from the HOA directly. It was from the county about a big land transfer. My land. Apparently, Harmony Glades HOA had filed papers saying they sold the 5,000 acres to some company called Pinnacle Land Holdings for $100,000. 100,000 for land worth 50 times that. My first reaction was total shock. This couldn't be real, but all the details were there. My property number, Higgins' signature above president. My vision got blurry from pure rage. How could they even try this? I called my lawyer, Marcus Thorne. Even Marcus, who'd seen all kinds of corporate criminals, was stunned. "They sold your land?" he asked in disbelief. "This isn't just trespassing. This is grand theft on a massive scale." I decided to confront Higgins face to face. I drove to Harmony Glades with the letter in my hand like a weapon. Higgins was outside his fancy house messing with roses, wearing awful khaki shorts. When he saw me, he got that smug look. "Come to talk about that dog park?" he said without even saying hello. I held up the letter. "Maybe you can explain this. It looks like your HOA sold my 5,000 acres. His smirk got bigger. He waved his pruning shears. "Oh yes, that old abandoned land. We put it to better use. It was an eyesore and fire hazard. The community is safer and richer thanks to us." "My land wasn't abandoned," I said. "It's privately owned by me. You had no right to touch it." He actually laughed. "Possession is 9/10 of the law, friend. We have the right to make Harmony Glades prosper. That land was being hoarded. We simply freed up its potential." "You'll be hearing from my lawyers," I said coldly. He waved his shears again. "The deal is done. Progress, friend. You can't stop progress." He had no idea he'd just started a war. He also didn't know something crucial, something I'd been quietly working on for years. He thought he was king of his castle. He had no idea he was just a renter in mine. While Marcus worked on the legal stuff, I started my own investigation. You see, for several years before Higgins tried to steal from me, I had been quietly buying properties inside Harmony Glades. Using several different company names, I'd been buying them as rental investments. By the time Higgins stole my land, my various companies owned over 60% of the homes in the development. Over half the people paying HOA dues were actually my renters. This included several HOA board members, and Bartholomew Higgins was renting his house from a company that led back to me. The irony was delicious. An HOA gets its power from homeowners. What happens when most homes are owned by one person and the board members are mostly renters? My assistant Clara cross-checked the HOA board list with my property deeds. Marcus examined the HOA's rules. According to their own rules, board members must be property owners. If they're renters and I never gave them permission to serve, they're Positions could be completely fake. Clara's report was perfect. All 5 HOA board members, including President Higgins, Vice President Agnes Periwinkle, and Treasurer Dale Grubbs, were renters in my properties. None actually owned homes. The Harmony Glades Homeowners Association was basically a committee of my own renters playing dress-up. They had no legal right to be on the board, let alone sell land. Marcus was excited. This is the golden ticket. We can challenge every action this board has ever taken. Their authority is built on sand. The investigation into Pinnacle Land Holdings was almost funny. It was brand new, incorporated 3 weeks before the fake sale. The funding came from Dale Grubbs, and its director was Higgins's brother-in-law, a guy with failed businesses who loved get-rich-quick schemes. Marcus prepared lawsuits and court orders, but I had a bigger plan. With over 60% of properties under my control, I effectively was the Harmony Glades HOA. According to HOA rules, I could call a special meeting and vote to remove the current board. My companies could vote to kick out these fake board members and elect a new board, one controlled by me. The letters went out. Formal notices from all my different companies called for an emergency meeting to remove the current board for being ineligible renters who committed fraud. The meeting was at a downtown hotel. My team showed up looking professional. Higgins arrived with his board, looking nervous. When my representative presented stacks of property deeds proving my companies owned most of the neighborhood, Higgins's face went white. The vote was called. My companies cast 63% of votes to remove the illegitimate board. It was crushing. Higgins and his cronies were no longer the HOA board. They were just 5 stunned renters. We elected a new board controlled by my people. Their first act was declaring the Blackwood Reach sale null and void and cooperating with lawsuits against the individuals responsible. But the best part was yet to come. As the meeting ended, my property manager stepped forward and approached Higgins. Mr. Higgins, I represent the owner of your residence. Given recent developments, we've decided not to renew your lease, which expires next month. The same applied to all the other former board members. Not only had their HOA kingdom crumbled, but they were being evicted from homes I owned. The lawsuit proceeded smoothly with my new board's cooperation. Higgins, his brother-in-law, and Grubbs faced fraud charges. Pinnacle Land Holdings dissolved. Blackwood Reach was officially mine again. The eviction notices sent shockwaves through the former board. Higgins, who once terrorized residents about garbage cans, was frantically searching for new housing. Their petty tyranny had completely unraveled. With the old board gone, we audited the HOA's finances and found years of mismanagement. Most importantly, it confirmed that the HOA had been run by renters, not homeowners, making their decisions legally questionable. Then came the final act. With my companies controlling over 60% of properties and the illegitimate HOA structure dismantled, I had a unique opportunity. The entire concept of this HOA felt tainted beyond repair. I had an elegant solution. I consolidated all my properties under a single trust, then approached the state. The proposal was audacious. Sell everything. Dozens of houses, common areas, plus the 5,000 acres of Blackwood Reach, to the state for the land to become a public park. The state was initially shocked by the offer, but as they examined Blackwood Reach's ecological value and the potential for public recreation, their interest grew. It took nearly a year, but the deal was struck. Harmony Glades as a private neighborhood with an HOA ceased to exist. It became the Blackwood Reach Gateway, an extension of the state park system. The houses where Higgins and his cronies once lived became lodgings for park staff and visiting scientists. My revenge was complete and far more comprehensive than just getting my land back. I hadn't just defeated an HOA, I had legally unraveled it, exposed its fraudulent core, evicted its corrupt leadership, and then sold the entire neighborhood to turn it into something serving the public good forever. Bartholomew Higgins ended, up working a low-level job in another county. The other former board members scattered. Sometimes when people try to steal from you, you have to dismantle their entire world and repurpose the pieces for something better. The beauty of the final solution was its completeness. Blackwood Reach was permanently protected as public parkland. The former HOA clubhouse became a visitor center. Cookie-cutter houses became research facilities and park cabins. It reinforced my core belief. When confronted with bullies and thieves who weaponize petty authority, the response must be overwhelmingly legal and utterly definitive. You don't just slap their hand. You dismantle their entire platform so they can never bother anyone again. People ask if it was worth the time and expense. My answer is always yes. It wasn't just about 5,000 acres, it was about principle. People like Higgins believe they can operate with impunity, preying on others through manipulation and sheer audacity. They never expect their target to own most of their power base and have resources to legally burn it all down. So if you're dealing with power-drunk HOA tyrants, remember Harmony Glades. Even the most entrenched thieves can be brought down with careful planning and absolute refusal to back down when you know you're right. For me, Blackwood Reach Gateway stands as a monument to perfectly legal revenge. It was complex, but selling their neighborhood to the state after they tried to steal my land and discovering their entire HOA was built on my own properties. Chef's kiss.